is going on with the president? Is he just believing things that didn't happen did happen, or is he just randomly making stuff up?
And I began to slide into him from behind.
It's a huge, mysterious crater that looks out of this world.
Biden's comm team pressed on whether or not he knows what's going on or if he's just making things up. Also, aliens. We'll definitely get to the aliens today. John Kennedy, Senator, Louisiana, says some pretty interesting things on congressional record, and Ron DeSantis asks, what the heck does any of this stuff have to do with math? All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker that is completely and utterly cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Thursday, September 14th, the year of our Lord 2023. A lot of stuff to catch up on, a lot of stuff that we kind of didn't touch on earlier in the week, but is still important, so I would like to discuss it. But you know what? Before we get to anything, I'd like to get to, let's see, this. This I thought was fascinating that happened yesterday in the press conference room. So Monday was September 11th. Joe Biden was in Alaska, said some things that were just blatantly not true. The entire media was like, hey, that's not true. They finally had a press conference yesterday, which was Wednesday, and some interesting characters, not from just Fox News, asked some interesting questions of whether or not the president knows what's going on or if he's just making stuff up. Because this reporter brought up something that I thought was a pretty good delineation between what is happening in the president's mind. He asks, and you'll hear him ask in just a second, but he asks, is the president actually think this stuff happened, or is he just making stuff up? Which I think that's a good question. And again, not coming from your hard right news outlet. Well, actually, I have no idea where this guy's from, but I'm going to play you this clip and then watch John Kirby squirm a little bit and kind of try and avoid it and dodge it. And then the journalist wraps it up. So check this out, and we'll discuss on the other side what's actually happening here.
What is going on with the president? Is he just believing things that didn't happen did happen, or is he just randomly making stuff up?
The president was deeply touched and honored to be able to spend 9/11 with military members there in Alaska and some families, and was honored by their presence and the chance to make an important set of remarks about why we need to continue to remember that day. And he did that. And he spoke about a visit to Ground Zero, which he did participate in, about a week or so after the event.
String of saying things that happened didn't have things that are easily debunked. Why does he keep doing that?
The president was grateful to spend that time with those family members and those troops.
Yeah, Kirby saying, I don't really know why he's doing that. Effectively, spinning it in the way that I thought was interesting because he doesn't know where to go with it either. John asked the question, why is that a good question? Well, the question being, does the president think that this happened or is he making it up? I think it's a great question because when dealing with politicians, you would like to know whether or not they are lying or they are cognitively not aware. In other words, I can deal with somebody who maybe stretches the truth a little bit. Let's do this. Let's be fair in the aisle. When Trump goes into a restaurant and says, this is the best restaurant I've ever been into. It's the best restaurant in New York. It's the best thing that's ever happened to New York City. Best food ever on the planet. And he does this exaggerating thing. Nobody actually believes it. But also, nobody really cares all that much. Because you're kind of like, yeah, we know this is like an exaggeration or something like that. And so when let's put this back to Biden, when you know that he's exaggerating, because he did end up visiting the Ground Zero, I believe a week following or 2 weeks following. If he's exaggerating, that's one thing. But if he actually believes what he's saying, that's a totally different thing, in that this guy is still the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military on the planet. And if he's misremembering things and cognitively unaware, that's a bigger problem than somebody who's exaggerating the truth. Not to say that either one is good. Not saying that exaggerating the truth is a good thing, but we kind of expect that out of our politicians. And like literally all of the politicians, like, yeah, they're going to spin things their way, and they're going to exaggerate what they think or what is actually happening. And we all just kind of expect that. But if he's actually misremembering things, that's a bigger problem. Let's see. To move on from this, which I thought this was something that we didn't touch on, but feel like we needed to. Did you hear about this? On 9/11, again, just not good timing. This has kind of been in the works for a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months now, this terrorist swap. We are going to send 5 Iranian terrorists. They're going to give us 5 Americans. And it's going to be a swap of captives, if you will, between the United States and Iran. Sometimes, I don't know if it's Iran or Iran or, I don't know, Iran. I'm going to say Iran. So this swap of 5 prisoners from Iran to the United States, here's the kicker. We're going to give them 5 Iranians. They're going to give us 5 Americans. But we're also throwing in $6 billion. Why is that? Jackie Heinrich asked John Kirby, and this is what he said. Check it out.
But didn't they also get 5 Iranians?
They will get 5 Iranians as well. Yeah, Jackie.
Then why did we need to add $6 billion on top of that?
This is the deal that we were able to strike to secure the release of 5 Americans.
I've thought a little bit about this. It is impossible to put a dollar value on the life of a person. Having said that, $1 billion each for a prisoner, that all that says to me is Americans abroad, which is sad because I enjoy going abroad. Americans abroad are at greater risk of being held captive, because now people know that America will pay at least up to $1.2 billion per person. Effectively, what this is a kidnapping scheme holding for ransom from Iran, and we capitulated to their quote-unquote demands. John Kirby, the answer he gave is, well, that's just the deal we were able to strike. Okay, I don't know if that's a good deal, dude. Again, I'm not wanting to diminish the value of an individual, but at the same time, holy cow, that is a lot of money. That being said, I thought this was interesting too, and this is another interesting point when it comes to dealing with bad actors on the world stage. When you want to talk about money going to Iran and effectively the Ayatollah, we put some stipulations on it. Good. We put some stipulations. Said you can't use this money for nuclear weapon development or any of the other things that we don't want Iran to do. The problem with that, obviously, and it takes not all that much thinking about it, is understanding that money is fungible. Say, for example, you have a gambling addict in your family, and the gambling addict says, hey, I need money. He has a job. Thank God. Gambling addict has a job, but he says, hey, I need money in order to pay rent. And you say, well, why can't you use the money with your job? I have a gambling addiction. Like, okay, well, I'll give you money to pay rent this month. Well, that doesn't stop the bad actor doing the bad things. It doesn't stop the gambling addict from gambling. All you're doing is subsidizing that. If you say, you cannot use this money for gambling, they'll say, okay. And then we'll use the money for the things that he needs to get done, like paying the rent. But then you've just freed up the same amount of money on his end from the job that he makes to go gamble. In other words, with Iran, we say, okay, well, you can't use this money for nuclear weapon development. They say, okay. But that's not the only thing they're spending money on. The Iranian government has to work. So all of the things that the Iranian government is doing, they can put that money to that and then take the money from that, the roads and the government, municipalities and local governance and the federal government in Iran, and then take that money and put it towards nuclear weapons. There's no way to earmark money going to foreign aid. And so all of that being said, this is what John Kirby said about that. Check this out.
Now, your second part of your question, well, won't this just free up funds for them to continue to do bad behavior? They've been participating in bad behavior for a long, long time.
Okay, so that is the answer that we are getting from the White House, is they go, okay, well, yeah, doesn't this then, even if we say you can't use this money for terrorism, but there's no way to earmark it, okay, well, we'll use your money for roads, and then the money that we were going to use on the roads, we're going to use for terrorism. The answer to that from the White House is, well, they've been doing bad things for a long time, so what are you going to do? How about you negotiate better? I don't know. I don't like putting a price on American heads, but that's effectively what we just did. And I don't know how this is going to pan out, but it doesn't seem like it's going in a good direction for Americans and for, at the bottom line, the taxpayer as a whole. Interesting. All right, I want to get to this. I'm going to tell you right now, right here, viewer discretion is advised. Listeners' discretion is advised. I don't even want to play this. It is weird. It's gross. It's part of the congressional record. John Kennedy went on, and I forgot to throw the video up, so I'm working on that as we speak. But John Kennedy, Senator R, Louisiana, was doing a Senate committee hearing and talking about some of the books that are involved in some of the schools in American government schools. And I will tell you, what he read from a book that is in a library somewhere, in a high school, I think, is bad. So just so you know, if you're squeamish, if you've got tender ears, turn this off. I'm telling you right now, turn it off. But if you don't, and you want to hear what is in government schools as read and narrated by Senator John Kennedy, stay tuned. Watch this.
Us to do. Let's take two books that have been much discussed. The first one is called All Boys Aren't Blue, and I will quote from it. I put some lube on and got him on his knees, and I began to slide into him from behind. I pulled out of him and kissed him while he masturbated. He asked me to turn over while he slipped a condom on himself. This was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. It was the worst pain I think I have ever felt in my life. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain.
My ears hurt just listening to that. But the reason that he's bringing that up is because there's a fight between who gets control over what kids learn in schools. The lefty side of the aisle, the people that John Kennedy is attempting to expose, are saying, hey, parents don't have any business in schools. They don't have any business in figuring out what the teachers teach or what the librarians have in their library. And therefore, the librarian I don't know why I emphasized the wrong syllable there. Therefore, the librarian has full and utter control of what goes into the library because the dumb parents don't have any business in government schools. John Kennedy saying, hey, if you put wokies in charge of what the curriculum is going to be and what the library books are going to be in the schools, this is what you're going to get. Now, he asked a secretary, this is one of the education people, I think, that he's asking about this. He's asking, well, okay, so what do you propose then? What are you saying here regarding how we are going to keep these sorts of things out of schools? And the exchange is kind of interesting. Watch this.
Now, Mr. Secretary, what are you asking us to do? Are you suggesting that only librarians should decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available to kids? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay. Tell me what you're saying.
Well, first of all, there's this.
Don't give me a speech. Tell me what you're asking me to do.
With all due respect, Senator, the words you spoke are disturbing, especially coming out of your mouth is very disturbing. But what I would also tell you that we're not advocating for kids to read porn, to Senator Booker's point.
What are you advocating for?
We are advocating for parents, random parents, not to have the ability, under the guise of keeping kids safe, to try and challenge the world view of every single manner on these issues.
You're getting conceptual game.
I'm not getting conceptual. I'm saying
yes,
that
you are. Yes, you are. Because I want to know what you're recommending. It sounds to me like what.
And then he goes on to say, it sounds to me like what you're recommending is the parents don't have a right to say what's going on in kids' schools. But that's what the guy effectively is arguing. He's saying, well, we don't want any rogue parents out there dictating what kids can and can't have in their government schools. But at the end of the day, who's paying for the schools? It's all the parents. And who's getting educated at the schools? It's the parents' kids. Property taxes are pretty much primarily what fund government schools. And children are the children of the people that pay those property taxes are the people that are getting educated in those schools. So in what way, shape, or form are you scared of parents saying, hey, we don't want this in our schools? Because I think what they're saying, the liberal argument, the Democrat argument that's been going on constantly is, well, they're trying to get rid of anybody talking about cultural issues in schools, which is just not even close to true. So if you're fighting an argument on a basis that doesn't exist, such as lefties and Democrats are at this point in time, you're going to have a difficult time defending stuff like this when it comes up. At the end of the day, I think the point was pretty clearly made on this particular committee that parents should have a very active role in schools, as they are the ones who pay for it and they are the ones who have the kids that are getting educated. And the schools should not be a system in which is controlled by people who are looking specifically to indoctrinate kids into an ideology that they have that most people don't share. So there is that. Again, sorry for that. Sorry for having to play that, but I feel like it was one of those things that was like relatively important to have on. Frankly, somebody on YouTube names. It's funny because YouTube names are like, they're not the person's name most of the time. It's usually like a username that you can get, but then obviously Facebook names they have to be actual names. But this YouTube commenter said, sick, foul, wrong, concise, poignant, accurate. Then there was somebody else that I thought, Heidi says this. WTF did I just hear? Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I think I adequately warned everyone. I think I said specifically, turn this off. So, again, but also, sorry. I know, that was a lot. That was a lot. Then Ryan from YouTube said, I got sent home from wearing a shirt that said, tell your girlfriend I said thanks in high school. Which, you know what? You know, maybe this is some disagreement here. I appreciate that. And maybe the point you're making is Look how far things have fallen into what's acceptable. Is that an appropriate high school shirt? I don't know. I'd rather not have it. But at the same time, if the point is being made of, look at how crazy things have gotten in just the last couple years, that is a very valid point because it has gone nuts. I feel like this is a good segue here. Things that have gotten nuts. I thought this was just funny. I want to play this clip from Ron DeSantis. He's on CBS. And regarding all of this crazy stuff in schools, the reporter, I think, asked a really, really weird question, especially considering what Ron was talking about. So I'm going to play the lead up to that, play this reporter's question, and then I think Ron actually handled this fantastically. Check this out.
And I think most people of all different persuasions agree with the stand we took. But I think it's also important to say, I've got people moving into Florida in record numbers. We are the #1 fastest growing state, and we are the state with the most net domestic in-migration. And that's people from all walks of life that are coming, and they're coming because the state is successful and they have an opportunity to get ahead.
Most gay people say they knew they were gay since they were a kid, but they'd known most of their life they were gay.
But here's the question. What does that have to do with math class or English class or history class? So
well, should they feel accepted in schools?
Everyone
should there
should,
be tolerance?
Everyone should be accepted, 100%.
What a weird trick. What a weird, I don't know, conversation to have. Ron said, well, people coming from all walks of life to Florida because they enjoy the freedom that we have in this state. And the reporter asked, well, some people said that they were gay from childhood. And he says, what? What does that have to do with anything? Obviously, the reporter is referencing the quote-unquote don't say gay bill, which is not at all what the bill says. But I just like that. I mean, at least the way it was edited came out of just freaking nowhere. Like, hey, we're doing all of these things in Florida and this, that, and the other thing. And, well, my friend knew she was gay from the moment she was born. Okay. What does that have to do with math? Which is, well, feeling accepted. I liked how she tried to spin it again, too. It just didn't quite land, didn't quite work. So there's that. I want to move on to this. I want to move on to the ridiculous. We are going to wrap things up here today with the ridiculous. Mexican aliens. Are they invading Earth? I just thought that was a funny kind of chyron because illegal aliens and coming from Mexico. And saying Mexican aliens is probably a bad thing that you probably shouldn't say, unless, of course, you're not talking in the context of immigration, and you're talking in the true, authentic context of aliens, extraterrestrial life on planet Earth. A couple days ago, Mexico's Congress unveiled this. I'm going to play you the video, and again, it's in Spanish. Not again, I don't think I mentioned that. But it is in Spanish. So you're not going to be able to understand anything unless, of course, you do speak Spanish. But if you do speak Spanish, what am I saying? If you do speak Spanish, sorry, lost my train of thought. I was thinking about another thing. I was thinking about a friend who speaks Spanish who's doing another thing project that we're working on. Anyways, where was I? If you do speak Spanish, you'll understand this. But I want you to watch this video as Mexico has unveiled extraterrestrial life, alien life on planet Earth. Check this out.
Evolución terrestre y que después de desaparecer no hay una evolución posterior.
They're showing what they believe are aliens. I'm going to pause it right there. What do we think about that? We think those are real? We think those are legit? I'm going to go with absolutely. There's no way that alien is not a real alien. I'm saying it 100%. Now, I understand where the skepticism might come from. People have tried to pull this sort of stunt routinely. But to think that the Mexican Congress would at all impugn their own ability to convey truth and reality is beyond me. In fact, thinking that the Mexican Congress would lie in any way, shape, or form is probably racist. Those aliens are real, and they've been entered into the global testimony of extraterrestrial life via the Congress in Mexico. Now, maybe some of the skepticism comes from news stories like what I'm about to show you, which is a different location in which extraterrestrial life was believed to be found. Ireland, interestingly enough, had an extraterrestrial event happen in their neck of the woods that I'd also like to bring to you. And I feel like this is part of the reason why people have skepticism. The first clip in this video is a couple guys digging a hole on the beach. And then the next video is someone who didn't do their research, didn't do their homework on the actual extraterrestrial life that exists on this planet. I realize I'm being confusing because I think I'm, on one hand, trying to poke fun at the idea that aliens exist, but also trying to sarcastically say that I believe it also. And I'm realizing as I'm saying things that can be confusing. This particular video, however, is hilarious. These guys dug a hole on a beach in Ireland, and you'll see them digging the hole. And then the news story that follows is hilarious. It's a little bit grainy, but trust me, it's worth it. Watch this.
Thanks, Bernard. Now, finally for now, a mysterious hole on a beach has caused a stir in North Dublin. A local astronomy enthusiast is hoping the crater in Portmarnock could be the aftermath of a cosmic event.
It's a huge, mysterious crater that looks out of this world. But is it? The unusual hole on Portmarnock Beach stopped local astrophysics enthusiast Dave Kennedy in his tracks yesterday, and he's certain the small but heavy rock inside it came from up above.
As you can tell by here, there's a scorch mark on this side here, so that would have been at the angle that it came down at. And it is weighty. I'm not sure if it's composition, but we're definitely going to have to find out.
The striking hole soon caught the attention of passers-by, many hoping that what they're witnessing is the aftermath of a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event.
The same hole dug by some dudes on a beach is the forefront of a news story. Is it the aftermath of a cosmic event? I don't know where I stand on the aliens thing. If you watch Daily Wire stuff, you know that Matt Walsh of What Is a Woman fame is a big-time aliens believer. That's all he ever wants to talk about. But I haven't thought super deeply about it. So will remain to be whether or not this is aliens or whether or not this is just all gobbledygook from the Mexican Congress and then the Irish TV. That'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. You can just type JOBOB into pretty much any of the social media networks. You'll be able to find me Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Getter, True Social. All of the social media platforms. Yeah, just type it in and it'll be we'll connect there. That'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Tomorrow we'll have some other fun stuff as we wrap up the week on a Friday. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. God bless America.